Hi folks, Mr. MegaManFan here. Like, share, comment, subscribe, you know all the things to do. Remember how in a previous video I showed that Japanese 3DS games only worked on a Japanese 3DS? Well, what you're about to see may feel like magic, but I'm going to take this Japanese 3DS game that only worked in a Japanese 3DS and put it in my US 3DS, and it pops up on the menu. What's going on here? What did I do to make this possible? Well, I hacked my 3DS, and it's not an impossible thing to do. It's not as easy as some people will make it out to be, but it's not necessarily as hard either. The main tool that you're going to need is a screwdriver to get the back plate off. A lot of the replacement batteries you can buy come with one standard, so I thought I would go ahead and upgrade the battery since this one can't hold a charge anyway. You're also going to need a computer to put your micro SD card into. There are many websites that will show you how to do this, but I'm going to recommend 3ds.hacks.guide because they will always have the most up-to-date method for hacking a 3DS. I'll show you the one that I used. Please keep in mind that this video is for educational purposes only. I do not offer any endorsement of this procedure, nor do I recommend it if you're uncomfortable with modifying anything made by Nintendo for fear that you might get your account locked out of things like eShop and online play. There are legitimate risks here. You have to decide whether or not it's worth it to you. But the things you can do, like unlocking the region of your 3DS and making backups of your physical games, to me, those are things that make it worthwhile. The key to this method is going to be finding the unique ID code for your Nintendo 3DS. You'll see how to do that in just a minute. And then using it to create an exploit that will allow you to use a save file for Pokemon Picross, and that save file will help you install all the custom firmware to your 3DS. It's a multi-step process, and for that reason I'm going to recommend a laptop with a built-in SD card slot because you're going to be taking the micro SD card in and out of your 3DS multiple times during this installation. If you have the firmware that I do as of the recording of this video, 11.15.0-47U, you can use this exact same process. So it's called Seed Miner, and Seed Miner works with the unique ID code of your 3DS. Take your micro SD card out of your 3DS, put it in an SD card adapter, put it in the SD card slot, then open the root level of your SD card and look for a folder with a 32 character long hexadecimal code. Hexadecimal is the numbers 0 through 9 and the letters A through F. If you have more than one folder with 32 characters in hexadecimal, follow the instructions on the website, but for me, I only had one. What you're going to want to do is copy and paste the ID of that folder into a text document. Use Notepad, WordPad, whatever you have. This is so you don't make a mistake typing it in later. Usually with a folder, you can just right click on it to rename it, and then you can copy and paste the whole thing. Either way, copy it into a text file because you're going to need it for brute force movable. That's the next step in the process. You go to this website, you paste in the 32-digit hexadecimal code and your Nintendo friend ID code. If you don't already have a Me on your 3DS that you use to share your friend code with other people, you're going to need to create a Me and then use that friend code. You enter all those things and then you click Go, and it will automatically generate a Seed Miner file for you. It might take a few minutes because this is a brute force method, so please be patient and don't refresh if you haven't at least waited a few minutes before it generates the movable set. But once it does, save it to your laptop because you're going to need it for the next step of this process. You're also going to need to accept a friend request on your 3DS from the brute force website. Add that friend, give it any name you want, it doesn't matter. Then, here's where the fun really begins. Now that you've got a movable SED file, you're going to unlock your 3DS using, in my case, Pickaxe, which is the Pokemon Picross method. You're going to go to installing Bootstrap on 3ds.hacks.guide, and you're going to upload your movable SED file. Then it will create a save file that you can use with Pokemon Picross. You can download it by scanning this QR code with your 3DS, or you can go to the eShop and search for Pokemon Picross. Either way, you need this game and you need this save file. Use the save file that's generated by Pickaxe, and you're going to inject it into your micro SD card where the save file for Pokemon Picross should be. So if you already have this game, you're going to overwrite a previous save. And if you don't already have this game, or you're just downloading it for the first time, don't worry about it because you're not going to lose anything. And if you want to play the game later, you'll need to delete the custom save file and either generate a new one or use the backup of the save file and restore it. But again, this is how you do it. At least this is the current method. And in my case, they said it was under ID0, ID1 title. I didn't find it there, but I did find the folder named 0017C100. So it appears that hexadecimal is the same for the game no matter where the folder is. Put your save file in that folder. If it asks you to overwrite an existing save file, you can either make a backup of it first, or you can just go ahead and straight up replace it, which is what I did. And then you're going to open Pokemon Picross, and it will automatically error out because of the hack save file, and from here you will be able to execute custom firmware installation. This reminds me a lot of launching Swiss on the GameCube using an exploit with a memory card. You can create a save file for The Legend of Zelda and make it error out, and it'll read Swiss off the memory card, and from there you can run custom homebrew applications on your GameCube. It's very much a similar process, which is astounding to me, really, that Nintendo would have that oversight on a previous console and wouldn't think to lock it out on a future console. So the most expensive part of this process, other than the value of your time for installing the custom firmware, will be getting the little screwdriver to take the backplate off. And since I needed a replacement battery anyway, it was $10 on Amazon, money well spent. I'm not even going to bother to link it because this is not sponsored. I don't want referral. And I also think you can get a battery from anywhere you want or a screwdriver from anywhere you want. Your choice on what you do and how you do it. This is where the magic happens, whether you're replacing the battery or taking out the micro SD card, either one. Once you have the backplate off, Bob's your uncle. Whatever you want to do, you can do. But if you're changing the battery like I am, make sure that you line it up correctly. You're going to want the part with those little 3 tabs to match up with the 3 tabs on the bottom of the battery compartment. Press it in firmly, and then, if you're doing an exploit like I am, take out your micro SD card, and as I said before, put it in an SD card adapter and put it into your laptop. The reason you're going to be taking it out multiple times and putting it back in multiple times is you're going to want to make backups. And when you're installing custom firmware, that is always a wise decision. I mean, yes, it's great that it unlocks things like the widescreen edition of Sonic 2 and SNES 9X so you can play ROMs, but in case anything goes wrong, you're going to want to have those backups on your laptop so you can restore your 3DS to its original state. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. I hope this guide has been helpful for you. And to me, the best part of this whole thing was region unlocking my 3DS, so now I can play games from anywhere I want.